Thank you for your interest in my poster. As you can see, the title of my research is Face Identification and Navigation Skills are not associated. Insights from developmental prosopagnostics and super recognizers. And I have done this work in collaboration with Olivia Dark, Jan Wiener, and Sarah Bate. Some research has found an association between navigation skills and face identification. For example, patients with occipitotemporal damage often present concurrent prosopagnosia and topographical disorientation. Although a similar association has been suggested in developmental prosopagnosia, this association is less clear. One of the classical debates in visual cognition research is on the specificity of face identification. According to the domain general view, face identification relies on general visual mechanism. However, according to the domain-specific hypothesis, face identification requires a specific visual mechanism. Partial support for the domain general account come from those prosopagnosis cases who present concurrent navigation deficits. A further test for these theories would be exploring navigation skills across the whole spectrum of face identification skills. In this sense, a lack of association between face recognition and navigation ability across the entire spectrum would support the domain-specific hypothesis. So in the present study, we want to explore two different research questions. First, we want to explore whether developmental prosopagnosia is characterized by concurrent deficits in navigation. In addition, we also want to explore whether there is an association between navigation skills and face identification across the whole spectrum of face identification skills. 18 developmental prosopagnostics, 16 super recognizers, and 26 control participants took part in this study. There were two sets of tasks. 4 tasks were classical computerized tasks. In the 4 mountain test, participants first studied a target mountain, and then they were presented with the target mountain among 3 other distractors. Importantly, the target was presented from a different viewpoint. This task is a measure of allocentric spatial memory. In the spatial configuration task, participants were required to generate a mental representation of the visual space. In this task, participants were placed in a space-like virtual environment consisting of 5 simple objects. For each trial, they were asked to indicate which object they were looking from, based on their current viewpoint. This test was designed to assess the ability of rapidly forming a mental representation of the position and identities of the objects in the environment. The cognitive map test measures participant skills to form a mental representation of the position of 4 landmarks in a natural environment. Participants were placed in a simple city-like virtual environment which was populated with 4 distinct landmarks. For each trial of this task, they watched a video of movement through the virtual city, which visit each of the 4 landmarks. After the video, participants had to indicate where the 4 mounts were located on a top-down view of the virtual city. The dependent variable in this task is the number of trials to identify the position of the 4 landmarks. Participants also performed a classical mental rotation task, as this task has been associated to navigational skills. And then participants performed a virtual reality task in which they had to learn a specific route. Specifically, they had to learn how to reach the telephone box from the car. There were 2 different conditions. In the repeat condition, they just need to memorize the route in the same order that it was learned. However, in the retrace route, they had to go back from the telephone box to the car. In the computerized task, we found no differences between the groups in any of these tasks. In addition, in the virtual reality task, which is a task that aims to measure navigational skills in a more ecological way, we also found no differences between the groups in any of the conditions. So despite using several tasks to assess navigation skills, we found no group differences. We could not even replicate previous findings that have suggested that prosopagnosia is associated with navigation problems. Our findings provide support to the domain-specific theory of face identification. Thanks a lot for your interest.